Some pretty wretched news coming out of Illinois here, and it has a lot of lessons for all of us. The title states prosecutor wants death penalty for suspects in hotel slaying of Illinois officer who was pleading for her life. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Darius Sullivan and Zandria Harris are accused of killing the sergeant. Illinois doesn't have the death penalty, but Kankakee County prosecutors are asking for federal murder charges against them, so the death penalty is an option.
And I assume that the feds can prosecute this because it was a police officer. I'm not sure of the actual law in that respect. But whatever the case, let's go ahead and read this. And keep in mind, throughout all of this are huge political undertones. A prosecutor said Monday he'll ask for the Justice Department to review the case of two people charged in the shootings of two police officers at a northern Illinois hotel, and also asked federal prosecutors to pursue a death sentence. Let me skip down. Okay, seems like a really nice lady. And this shouldn't have happened to her. We all agree with that. By the way, another man, the other police officer, is in critical condition. So we can't forget about him. Okay, Judge Kathy Bradshaw Elliott granted a request to deny Harris bail, telling Harris, "You are a real threat to the community." And you know what's going to be said? Well, they're only denying bail to him because he's black. Never mind that he murdered a police officer and may have murdered another one. No, the only thing they can think of, he's black and therefore that's why he's being given no bail. Good grief, this country's gone to hell. All right, so here's where it begins. Listen carefully. CBS Chicago reports that prosecutors said that Ripmanick and Bailey had been called to a hotel for a complaint about barking dogs that had been left in a guest's car. Bailey ran the license plate of the car with the barking dogs and found it belonged to Harris. Ripmanick and Bailey went upstairs to room 308 with the intention of issuing a ticket for local noise ordinance violation against Harris because of the barking dogs, and to arrest Sullivan on outstanding warrants. They're going to go and arrest that dude on outstanding warrants. Gee, that might be a little dangerous. You're going to send out your biggest, brawniest guys out there, right? No. We'll see here in a moment. The officers first knocked on the door of room 308, but there was no answer. When officers knocked again, Bailey announced it was the police and said they needed to address the complaint about the dogs. Harris, who was pregnant at the time, said from behind the door that she would be coming out of the room. Okay. Finally, after 14 minutes, Harris opened the door to the hotel room. She tried to squeeze past the door and close it to prevent officers from arresting Sullivan, who was also in the room. Harboring a fugitive. Okay. As Bailey and Ripmanick kept asking Harris to stop blocking the door, Sullivan came from around the room holding a 9mm handgun with a drum clip. A drum clip? Oh, good grief. And I say good grief because a drum is a really poor substitute for a regular magazine. Sullivan shot Bailey in the head and then fired a first shot at Ripmanick as she tried to get out of his range. Okay, so Sullivan already shot the one officer, all right? Then Sullivan then chased Ripmanick down the hallway. She has a gun, but he's chasing her. Okay, I wasn't there. Maybe there's a reason why she was running and not shooting. It's quite possible. And pinned her up against a door. His gun became jammed at that point, and he began trying to unjam his own gun with his left hand, while also trying to disarm Ripmanick with the other. Why isn't she beating the hell out of him? He's got one hand preoccupied by trying to unjam a pistol. And with the other hand, he's trying to take her gun. She should be knocking the shit out of him. We'll see in a minute why she wasn't. Amid the struggle, Harris walked down the hallway and told Sullivan to cock the gun. Okay, that's rather interesting. The revolver? Sullivan then went on to get a hold of Ripmanick's gun. Sullivan and Harris then stood over Ripmanick as she lay on the floor, already having been shot once. By this point, Harris was holding Sullivan's gun, while Sullivan had Ripmanick's duty weapon in hand. Sullivan then fired 2 shots at Ripmanick from what was believed to be her own weapon. Let me ask you a question. If somebody takes your gun from you, could they use that to kill you? Imagine that. While Harris handed some keys to Sullivan and told him he had to go, Sullivan then fired the final fatal shots at Ripmanick. Sergeant Ripmanick was pleading with him just to leave. You don't have to do this. Please just go. Please don't. She was desperately pleading for her life. Ripmanick died that evening. Bradley remained in critical condition Monday. If anybody has an update on Bradley's condition, let me know. In Wabash, Indiana, meanwhile, Sullivan is fighting extradition to Illinois. Can you imagine that lawyer's argument? What argument do you have to fight extradition, especially since Illinois is not a death penalty state? What could you possibly say? I have no idea. Rowe said he will start the process of asking Indiana's governor to sign a warrant to have Sullivan extradited to Kankakee County. There's some mention of fake GoFundMe accounts. Some people, scumbags, are out there trying to get money off of this. That's really, really deplorable. Now, where am I going with this? Well, let's learn a little bit more about the victim. And by the way, here is the male. And he looks to be what? 5'6"? 5'7"? I don't know. I mean, from this perspective, it might be kind of fooling me a little, but he does not look very big. Okay, take a look at her. How tall do you think she is? This dude here, right here, is probably 6 foot. What is she, 5'4"? Maybe 130 pounds? So I have a question for all of you out there. Who do you think would win in a cage match? Her or that dude? Or her and Zandria? Seriously, Zandria is pregnant and probably would whip her ass up and down the block. Okay, there's another picture of her. You see this lady here? You see her? She's bigger. That lady on the right would probably whoop her ass. Sorry, the truth hurts sometimes. And yeah, what happened was horrible, but it happened for a reason. And I'm sorry. I don't want to see any more people die. Now, I'm kind of curious as to what kind of warrants they had on him, but if any of them were felonies, then this is really irresponsible. And I keep telling everybody, I've had a couple of videos on this, you can't put small people out on patrol. They're not strong enough. They can't take care of Roscoe. Remember the Roscoe rule? I said that they should have a guy named Roscoe who's of typical ordinary size and is a little drunk, and they should have the police officers go in there and take him to the ground. And if they can't take him to the ground, they don't get to go on patrol. Because ultimately, that's what it came down to. If she had been 6 foot, 200 pounds, do you think that he would have been there sitting trying to unjam his gun while trying to hold him back with the other? Really? A 6 foot, 200 pound guy would be beating the crap out of him. I mean, you're getting people killed. The police captain we just heard from, he put her out on the street. He put her out there. And he should have known that she was not going to be able to handle any kind of vicious criminal. And frankly, I think her partner there looked a bit on the small size too. It's hard for me to say. I'm just so astonished that we keep doing this. We keep making the same mistake. Kim Potter, small, 5'4", I believe. She was on the force for 26 years, almost never had to pull out her taser and never pulled out her gun. Why? They never expected her to have to actually do anything in terms of taking down a vicious criminal, until one time she ran up against somebody. And guess what? She was so inexperienced, she pulled out the wrong weapon. That's not her fault. It's the fault of those who put her in that position. Amber Geiger is another one. She's the one that went up to the wrong apartment, saw some dude in her apartment, and opened fire on him. And what was she, 5'6", about 140? There has to be some sort of standard. Look, I'm not saying that small people can't be on the police force, but there are certain jobs they should not be doing, and this is one of them. And frankly, it's unfair to larger police officers to straddle them with these little smaller ones and have to make this bigger officer do all the work. You put out there on the streets 6 foot, 200 pounders. Well, maybe that's a little bit on the heavy side, but if you put out there 6'2", 200 pounders out there, and a lot of these police shootings won't happen anymore. But we can't advocate that because it hurts people's feelings. I'm sorry. I feel horrible about what happened to her. And we all should. It's not her fault. They put her out there. She just never expected that she was going to run into these two. And of course, he got a hold of her gun. And what did he do with it? He blew her brains out. Okay? What do you think would have happened if Jojo Rosenbaum had gotten a hold of Kyle's gun? And I know what you're thinking. Oh, but Jojo Rosenbaum was a level-headed guy. He was harmless. He wouldn't have hurt anybody. I'll guarantee you, this dude here, Darius Sullivan, is a hell of a lot saner than Jojo Rosenbaum. And he did it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. This is just getting out of hand. And we just keep getting more and more officers killed every year. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.